may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, so there's no easy way to say it, so let's just get it out there. I am not going to be drafting Kyle Pitts in a single fantasy football league in 2021. I don't care if it's redraft. I don't care if it's Dynasty. You are looking at the price point where Kyle Pitts is currently valued at, and you go, it doesn't add up. There is no way that this price is accurate based on the projection that you should have for Kyle Pitts and his long-term outlook with his Dynasty value. Now, I really want to dive into this a little bit more at the end of the video where we go through and talk about when we may be willing to go through and trade for Kyle Pitts. At this point, I think the price is absolutely absurd. I'm going to get into how good of a player Kyle Pitts is. I'm going to get into exactly why people are so excited about him, and then why I think we should be a little bit hesitant, and lastly, when we think we should actually be sending out offers for Kyle Pitts in fantasy. But of course, before we get into the video, go down there, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. More importantly, hit that notification bell next to the subscribe button. That way you can come out and you can hang out with us during the premieres for these videos. And lastly, go to the comment section and give me your best argument on why the current Dynasty and redraft evaluation for Kyle Pitts is completely fine with the value that you're going to have to spend into him. Now, please don't just go to the comment section and say, Mason, you're stupid. Kyle Pitts is legit. He is definitely worth the draft pick. No, I need more analysis than that. I need you to come out and I need you to let me know exactly what you are expecting his rookie season and exactly where you think he is going to be going in Dynasty startups next offseason. But anyway, let's get into it. And I am on record of saying that Kyle Pitts is the best tight end prospect of all time. I mean, Kyle Pitts is a fantastic player. This is nothing against Pitts himself. I mean, you go through his prospect profile, and we have said this before, but I mean, there are a couple boxes that you're going to be wanting to look for with these rookie tight ends coming into the NFL. I cover this in depth with how important each box is in our Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide that will be available on Patreon at the end of this month. But nonetheless, what you are looking for is you really need these guys to be athletic. I mean, athleticism matters so much at the tight end position. And Kyle Pitts, one of the most athletic tight ends you are ever going to see in the NFL. I mean, he ran a 4.44 40-yard dash at his pro day. And yes, I understand pro day times are a little bit skewed. But guys, it's a mid 4.4. What else are you going to be expecting at the tight end position? Kyle Pitts, an elite level athlete. Kyle Pitts also has, I mean, the best size you could ever imagine. I mean, if you went through and in a lab, you went, hey, how big do you want your tight end? Like if you were creating a player on Madden and you were going, hey, what size do we want to give this guy? I mean, you go, hey, 6'6", 245 pounds. Let's call him Kyle Pitts. I mean, Kyle Pitts, he's athletic. He is massive. He has a longer wingspan than Calvin Johnson, something we have said way too many times now. Also, Kyle Pitts only 20 years old, so when you go over to his production profile, we know production also matters at the tight end position coming into the NFL, and you look at the fact that in 2020, he averaged almost 100 receiving yards a game, and he had 12 total touchdowns in only 8 games played. You go, hey, crap, he did this at 19, 20 years old? This kid is unreal. Like I said, I mean, there's a reason that he went with the 4th overall pick to the Atlanta Falcons, something that we had projected going into the NFL draft, understanding that, yes, the best tight end prospect of all time is going to get drafted higher than any other tight end in NFL history. So we can get all that out here. We can come on and say, yes, Kyle Pitts is fantastic. But at the same time, we need to go through and we need to understand a realistic expectation for the greatest tight end prospect of all time coming in his rookie year. Now, it's going to be a little bit harder to look at historical hit rates here because we're on record saying that Kyle Pitts is already an outlier with his prospect profile. So, yes, it is not going to be as easy as just going, what's the average tight end production that you can expect from a player with this profile selected in this range? No. You can't do that. You have to dive into it a little bit more in depth. But if we go through the Atlanta Falcons offense real quick, something I want to talk about is the fact that I think the passing volume is actually going to decrease this year, where in 2020, you had the Atlanta Falcons with close to 40 pass attempts a game. And then you go through and you break this down and you go, Okay, I mean, a few guys were getting a ton of volume. Obviously, you have Calvin Ridley there. Calvin Ridley, you can make the argument that he's a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. I mean, he averaged 9.5 targets a game last year. You have Julio Jones there, who averaged 7.5 targets a game, but he only played in 9 games. So that ended up opening up a lot of volume for guys like Russell Gage, Hayden Hurst, both players that saw a surprising amount of targets. I mean, with Russell Gage, he had 6.5 targets a game. With Hayden Hurst, he had 5.5 targets a game. So you go through and go, hey, yeah, I mean, some bad players were getting targeted very heavily in this Atlanta Falcons offense. But we have to understand that you can't project this offense for 40 targets a game to go around every single game from here on out. No, that's going to regress back. You're going to see this go closer to the league average. And now you have Arthur Smith coming over to be the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. And this is something I'm excited about. I mean, he was very good at Tennessee. And I know a lot of people want to point out the fact that he was a former tight ends coach from 2013 to 2018. Now, personally, I don't see how that's that relevant. You're going to tell me that, oh, the tight end coach, he knows what the tight end position is. He knows how to make sure he's utilizing them in their offense. No, offensive coordinators know that same thing. Head coaches know that same thing. It's not like just because he was a tight end coach, he has some secret position that nobody else knows about. No, it doesn't matter too much, in my opinion. Maybe you can break a tiebreaker with it, but I really don't want that to be used as a main piece of analysis. Now, what I would want to look at, though, is the fact that he was the offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans in 2019 and 2020. And there, what you found is with Tennessee under Arthur Smith, they averaged 30 pass attempts a game, and I know the efficiency was sky high. I mean, Derrick Henry with the play action at the same time with Ryan Tannehill. So with those 30 pass attempts a game, you had a much higher level of efficiency, and maybe that's something you can expect to go over to the Atlanta Falcons offense. But I think you're also going to see the overall volume go down. I mean, if you just cut it in half from the Tennessee Titans with Arthur Smith and what we had from this team that was a little bit of an outlier last season, there you should be expecting about 34, 35 pass attempts a game. And if you're going through and you're going, hey, what happens if Julio Jones is not traded? What happens if you have both Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones on this offense? We have already seen before that Calvin Ridley is going to be a player that projects to see 25% of his team's targets. And even if Julio is on the decline, just say Julio Jones stays in this offense, I think at the very least you should expect him to be able to command 20% of these team's targets because, I mean, even when you saw the dip last year based on the games not being played, whenever he was healthy, Julio Jones was still a mega producer in Atlanta. I mean, he was still one of the best wide receivers in the entire NFL. So having that top duo of wide receivers, I think is going to not limit Kyle Pitts, but it's going to make it a lot harder for him to command a significant amount of targets. And if you go across the board right now, and this is what I don't get, and this is why it's kind of scary for me to come out and make this video, because I don't hear anybody else saying this. I don't hear anybody else trying to pump the brakes on the hype train that we have with Kyle Pitts. You go across pretty much any projection system you're going to see, and you're seeing everybody project Kyle Pitts 750, 760, 770 receiving yards. And I'm sitting here going, I don't see that happening. I don't know how this is just being assumed it's going to happen. I mean, right now, if you look over at ESPN, some just simple free projections, they have Kyle Pitts projected for 93 targets, 65 receptions, and 760 receiving yards as a rookie. And I know a lot of people are going to look at that and they're going to go, Mason, that's a fair projection. What are you talking about? You just simply aren't understanding what everybody else in the room does. And I'm going, guys, I understand how good of a prospect he is. He's 20 years old, though, and we know the tight end position is a position where it takes so long to develop. You have to learn how to be the receiver. You have to learn how to be the offensive lineman at the NFL level before you really can thrive in that NFL offense. And I know a lot of people are going to go, okay, but that's just hearsay. I mean, do you have any numbers to back this up? Yes, I mean, if you go through the past 20 years and go, okay, right now Kyle Pitts is being projected to see 760 receiving yards this season. In the past 20 years, how many rookie tight ends have been able to hit this mark? And keep in mind, I mean, in 20 years, you have a sample of over 100 rookie tight ends coming in, over 100 rookie tight ends that got top 3-round draft capital. So guys that should have seen an immediate role. Now, how many of those players hit that mark? So out of all of those players, the players that hit this mark in the past 20 years was one. In 2002, you had Jeremy Shockey hit over 760 receiving yards. And more surprisingly, I mean, you go deep down into this and you've had 21 first round drafted tight ends over the past 20 years. And you're going, okay, so what should be the median projection for these guys that get drafted in the first round? So clearly they're decent tight end prospects, or they're not going to be drafted there. I don't want to bring in a bunch of noise looking at day 3 players, guys that even went on day 2. I just want to go with the best prospects that we've had over the past 20 years. So with those first round drafted tight ends, you had 21 of them total. And the guys that went over 600 receiving yards as a rookie, you have 2 of those players. You have 2 players go over 600 receiving yards as a rookie. And that's out of 21. Then you lower that mark down to 500. So here you're just kind of hoping that you have someone that can be a fringe tight end 1, someone that can be a low end tight end 1, high end tight end 2. Out of those 21 rookies, you had 4 guys hit that mark. Now you lower it down to 400. And out of those 21 guys, keep in mind, guys, 400 receiving yards is nothing. You get 400 receiving yards at the tight end position, you may not even be a player that's startable. And out of those 21 guys, you had 8 guys hitting the mark. Now, if you lower that all the way down to 300 receiving yards, I mean, you had 13 players. And then the rest of the guys, I mean, 8 players out of the 21 did not even crack 300 receiving yards at the position. So please understand that these rookie tight ends, they don't produce right away. I mean, very rarely are you ever going to have someone come in and be a tight end 1 in fantasy. And if you're looking at the ADP right now for Kyle Pitts, I mean, in redraft leagues, he is the consensus tight end 4. So if he just meets his price, say you draft Kyle Pitts and you go, okay, I'm not necessarily needing him to go through and beat his ADP. I just want to make sure I don't lose value. I want to make sure that I get the tight end 4. I want to make sure I get the player I drafted in that range. What has to happen? What has to happen is Kyle Pitts, he has to put up one of the best rookie tight end seasons of all time. He has no other option. I mean, if he has a very good rookie tight end season, if he even has an elite rookie tight end season, at that point, he is still disappointing you for where you're drafting him. Now, I mean, if we're talking dynasty prices at the same time, I mean, I have seen Kyle Pitts go ahead of Travis Kelce. I've seen him go ahead of Darren Waller in so many startup drafts. I mean, this is something that annoys me so many times on Patreon. Pretty much nobody on Patreon at this point is drafting Kyle Pitts over Travis Kelce, George Kittle. I mean, some are making the argument over Darren Waller, but still, I mean, they are sending draft boards over going, hey, this is a real money league. And this team just took Kyle Pitts over Travis Kelce. And I'm going, that is a horrendous bet. And you also are looking at rookie drafts where Kyle Pitts is consistently going at the 101 in a 1 quarterback format. And then even in the Superflex league, he's going before players like Najee Harris. And we're going, okay, that makes no sense. Literally, just fade Kyle Pitts at that price point. Let him put up a quote-unquote disappointing rookie season for Kyle Pitts himself, even though it's probably going to be a very good tight end rookie season. And then after he gets that experience under his belt, and then you should be expecting production down the line, then why don't you just trade for him at the same price after not having to hold that value piece on your roster when he's scoring no points? It makes no sense, and I understand. I mean, I put out the tweet saying this a couple of weeks ago, and people in the comment section were going, Mason, nobody drafting Kyle Pitts right now is going to be willing to sell him at a discount next year. Nobody's going to be even willing to sell him at the same price next year. He's going to be an untouchable asset. And I'm going, okay, people say this about tight ends every single season. And please, if you think I'm wrong, please let me know in the comment section. But with the caveat is you better have been playing Dynasty for at least 5 years now. You better have some experience under your belt with a multitude of markets in Dynasty format. If you just started this offseason, you just started last offseason, or even the offseason before that, I don't think that you have a full grasp on what happens after these rookie tight end seasons and what you find with their Dynasty evaluations. And the best example of this is by going through and looking at a tight end that out of those 21 first-round drafted tight ends that we have discussed over the past 20 years, he was one of the best rookies. He was one of the best sophomore year players at the tight end position at the same time. And what happened to his dynasty value? And let's talk about Noah Fant here right now. Okay, so Noah Fant was a player that came in as a rookie. And out of that sample, like we had previously stated, he was at the very top. I mean, it was Jeremy Shockey, it was Evan Ingram, and then it was Noah Fant. He was a top 5 tight end in the receiving yards that he had his rookie season out of that entire sample. And we go, Okay, what happened to his price point? Because he came in and he was an extremely impressive prospect coming into the draft. He was someone that hit right away at the NFL level. What happened to his dynasty value? Where, I mean, I think that pretty much everybody can answer this. So after having 562 receiving yards in his rookie season, and then following it up with bumping up his receptions to 62 receptions in 2020 and almost eclipsing 700 yards, Noah Fant has not increased his dynasty price at all. Say you avoided Noah Fant in that 2019 rookie draft. Say in 2019, you went, you know what? I don't want to be drafting a rookie tight end in the middle of the first, at the end of the first in the tight end premium format where you were seeing him consistently go. Say, instead, let's draft a wide receiver in that range. Let's draft an A.J. Brown, a DK Metcalf. Let's see if they hit right away. And if they do, hey, then I love Noah Fant. We were kind of considering him in the rookie draft. Then let's go trade that player for Noah Fant plus a ton to see if he's good the first few years. And what ends up happening is Noah Fant doesn't have his dynasty price increase at all. I mean, Noah Fant is just as attainable now than he was his rookie season. So that just completely debunks the theory that these players drafting these rookie tight ends are going to be holding on to these guys as tight as they can over the next 5 years. So please, please, please don't think if you miss out on Kyle Pitts now, you're not going to be able to buy him 12 months from now. That's not the case. That has never been the case at the tight end position. And I know a lot of people are going to come in, they're going to go, but Mason, he's the next Travis Kelce. Mason, he's the next George Kittle. And I go, okay, well, what happened back when Travis Kelce and George Kittle were rookies? What did we end up seeing then? Because Travis Kelce, he missed his entire rookie season, and you really didn't have a significant year from Travis Kelce until he was 25 years old. He was 25 years old. He went for over 800 yards, and I know it was a different circumstance, but Kyle Pitts is 20 here. I mean, I think that is just apples to oranges. That's a grown man to a child. I mean, just imagine your own life at 25 years old compared to 20 years old. I mean, I'm a completely different person than I was at 20 years old, and I'm not even close to being 25 yet. Now, George Kittle, his rookie season, Kittle had a very impressive season, and he went for 43 receptions, 515 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns. So if Kyle Pitts puts up the same rookie season George Kittle had, Kyle Pitts is going to be a major bust at his ADP. Kyle Pitts is going to be someone that you're sitting there going, in a redraft league, I just wasted this pick. And in a dynasty format, his value didn't really increase. So please let me know if y'all think I'm wrong here, but I think it's a very bad bet going against everything that we have ever seen at the tight end position to go, you know what? Let's take Kyle Pitts as a top 2 tight end in Dynasty. Or you know what? Let's take Kyle Pitts over a 3-down rookie running back in our rookie draft. Or you know what? Let's take Kyle Pitts as the tight end 4 in a redraft league. It just makes no sense. I know that he is an elite player. I know that he is an elite prospect. But at the end of the day, these rookie tight ends don't produce as elite players. And on top of that, their dynasty value doesn't increase even when they have decent rookie seasons. So please do not overpay for Kyle Pitts this offseason, thinking you're not going to get him. No, wait 12 months, draft a Najee Harris, get that production in right away, help your roster in 2021, and then next offseason, say, hey, I really wanted Kyle Pitts, then go trade Najee Harris for Kyle Pitts because you are going to be able to do it. I promise you that if you've been playing Dynasty long enough, you know that these tight ends, they don't necessarily skyrocket in value, even after good rookie seasons, as we've seen with Noah Fant. Now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video, even though I know y'all definitely didn't, because when we come on, talk bad about a player, yeah, I know we're going to get hate. But nonetheless, go down there, drop a like anyway, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see y'all with the video tomorrow. Thank you so much for everyone supporting the show on Patreon. And Dominic, Jim, Carl, Jesse, Tyler, Eric, Colby, Cameron, Mike, and Marcus, thank you guys.